The bathroom echoed with the sound of a loud thud as I was shoved onto the cold, dirty floor. Tessa, the notorious bully of our school, led the group, and my cousin, Emily, was right behind her, egging her on.
Shameless witch, let's see if you dare to seduce anyone again.
They poured a bucket of filthy water over my head. The disgusting liquid dripped from my hair, some of it even getting into my mouth and nose. Seeing me choke on the water, they burst into laughter and pulled out their phones to record the scene.
Look at this disgraceful girl. Oh, she's got a nice figure, doesn't she? Maybe she could make some money off it.
Tessa slapped my face repeatedly, the sound echoing in the small space.
Disgusting.
Why did I have to be reborn at this exact moment, in such a pitiful state? The pain of being bullied in my past life felt like a permanent scar, one that I could never erase. I didn't dare to fight back. Resisting would only make them more vicious. I had tried telling the teachers before.
Why are they targeting you and not others? You need to reflect on whether there's something wrong with you.
No one would bully you for no reason. It must be something you did wrong. What could I have possibly done wrong? I merely exchanged a few words with Ethan and answered some of his questions. That was all.
What's wrong with you?
In my previous life, I liked him. His concern for me moved me deeply. Looking back now, the more he cared for me, the worse I was bullied.
Please stay away from me from now on.
Ethan's face turned cold. He had never been rejected before, and naturally, he couldn't take it well. Soon, they would spread my photos all over the school forum, making me the subject of ridicule and scorn from everyone. No one would investigate to clear my name. Instead, I almost got expelled for bringing a bad reputation to the school. I couldn't just sit and wait for my fate to repeat itself. I straightened my clothes, clutched the few coins I had, and sneaked out of the school.
Well, a good student out for a stroll at this hour?
I ignored him and found a corner to set up a computer. In my previous life, although I didn't make it to college, my passion for programming and my sharp mind had made me a top hacker in the world. Before my untimely end, I had been recruited by the National Security Agency, about to become one of their agents. My life could have been great if she hadn't poisoned me. Why couldn't she just leave me alone? I pushed those thoughts aside and used a scanner to find vulnerabilities in the school's server. The scanner quickly identified a flaw, and instead of attacking the server, I established a new link, becoming an administrator. Seeing the familiar IDs posting, I hacked into their phones. I returned to school just in time for evening self-study. As I took my seat at the back of the classroom, they turned and glared at me. I knew they were frustrated because they hadn't succeeded in their schemes. Knowledge is power. A small virus had turned their phones into useless bricks. In my previous life, I didn't know programming at this point. After years of honing my skills, I had become a top-tier hacker, no longer a helpless high school girl.
Sophia, why weren't you in class during the third period this afternoon?
Not just the third period, I was bullied in the restroom during the first 2 periods, which she didn't know. But she was well aware that I skipped a class to go online.
Teacher, she wasn't feeling well and went to see a doctor.
Is that so, Sophia?
Teacher, I skipped class. I accept the punishment.
I'd rather face the consequences than accept Ethan's favor. The teacher didn't expect my defiance. She could ignore my feelings but had to consider Ethan, whose father was a prominent figure in the city, practically untouchable.
Since Ethan pleaded for you, stay in class and continue your studies. Don't let it happen again.
I didn't want his help. Every time he showed me a bit of kindness, his admirers would bully me even more. If he truly cared, he wouldn't stand by and watch me get bullied. Compared to the humiliation, standing outside the classroom was nothing. I could still listen to the lesson from there. I stood up and walked out of the classroom. Ethan frowned, his face darkening, a storm brewing. The teacher banged on the blackboard and shouted.
Sophia, what do you mean by this? Defying me? Fine, stand outside and never come back in.
If I could, I wouldn't stay in this school at all. Unfortunately, I couldn't transfer my student records. My life was controlled by my uncle. I had to endure until the college entrance exams. The campus was cold at night, especially since I hadn't eaten and my clothes were damp. During the break, they surrounded me. Tessa rudely pushed my head.
Wow, you've got guts, making Ethan speak up for you.
I didn't.
If you weren't charming him, why would he speak for you?
I didn't.
He's been deceived by you.
They pushed me towards the stairs leading to the rooftop, a secluded place perfect for teaching lessons. Ethan stood in the crowd, arms crossed, a mocking smile on his lips. They half dragged me to the rooftop. Tessa slapped me hard.
Didn't you learn your lesson? Since you don't care about your face anymore.
Emily whispered something in Tessa's ear, her gaze like a slimy snake fixed on me. That disgusting look made me shiver. She was full of malicious ideas, who knows what she had in mind for me. One of the girls lit a cigarette for Tessa, the ember glowing in the dark. She took out all the cigarettes from her bag and lit them.
A bad feeling rose in my heart. I quickly tried to escape.
The girl closest to the door, Ryan, blocked the way, while the strongest one, Lily, grabbed my hair. Tessa handed out cigarettes to the other girls.
Let's leave some marks on her face. See if she dares to flirt with Ethan again.
As the burning cigarette got closer, I struggled desperately, my hands being pried away from my face one by one. I let out a desperate scream. I didn't want to be scarred for life.
Shut up.
From another corner of the rooftop, a boy climbed over the railing. As he stepped into the light, everyone recognized him. It was our school's notorious bully, Jason.
Jason, it's you. We're just teaching a lesson to an unruly classmate.
Jason ignored her attempt to cozy up to him, hands in his pockets, and spat out a single word.
Leave.
Tessa's face changed multiple times. She hadn't expected Jason to embarrass her in public. But she didn't dare to offend him. Back in middle school, he had once fought with a knife and even broke another bully's leg. Compared to him, her tactics were child's play. Tessa signaled the other girls to leave. I stayed where I was. Although I had protected my face, my hands had inevitably gotten a few burns.
Are you just going to let them bully you like that?
Compared to Tessa, I wasn't afraid of Jason. The bully whose leg he broke had been harassing a girl in their class. The knife incident was because some thugs were extorting protection money from younger students. So, unlike other bullies, he had a bit of a conscience. I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes and resolutely said,
Not anymore.
I couldn't take it anymore. I had done nothing wrong, so why should I endure such humiliation? The information I had gathered over the past few days came in handy. Although Tessa liked Ethan, it should be said that all those girls liked Ethan. Ethan was good-looking, came from a good family, and had excellent grades. He always acted like a gentleman, treating every girl with courtesy. They all liked him, but none of them had ever won his heart. To them, Ethan was like a moon hanging in the sky, unattainable. Since they couldn't have the moon, a substitute would do. The heartthrob from the neighboring vocational school bore some resemblance to Ethan. Under Tessa's aggressive pursuit, he became her boyfriend. They had recorded quite a few videos on their phones, the kind that would get them in trouble with the police. Not just Tessa, that heartthrob, Michael, had also hooked up with a few of her friends behind her back. I kindly posted some of these videos on the school forum and even sent a few to their family group chats. As expected, the school was in an uproar. Students were discussing the videos after class and after school.
Tessa has a pretty good figure.
Lily isn't bad either. Her face might be a bit plain, but she's got the curves.
Ryan, who would have thought?
The gang of girls didn't dare show up at school, too embarrassed. In my previous life, it was me who had been humiliated by those videos and hurt by the rumors. I had thought they were invincible, but they were also afraid of gossip. Emily didn't come to school either. She had high standards and wouldn't be interested in a vocational schoolboy. She wasn't in any of the videos, which made her a suspect. Last night, she was dragged down an alley and beaten badly. I hid behind a window, listening to her screams. The same tricks they had used on me were now being used on her. When they found her on the street, her body was in terrible shape. Aunt was furious at home, blaming me for not taking care of her. She demanded that I make amends by not going to school and taking care of Emily until she recovered.
Can't you even fulfill this small request for your sister? If it weren't for you not protecting her, she wouldn't have been hurt like this.
Why should I waste my precious study time taking care of someone who bullied me?
But I had no money. I needed to find a way to earn some. There are many ways for hackers to make money, some of which are legal, like helping international companies find network vulnerabilities. After a whole day's work, I had $1 million in my account. With this money, I could move out. But I couldn't just leave, otherwise, how would I explain the money? For now, I couldn't reveal my hacker identity. During the day, I attended classes, and at night, I tutored Emily. She seemed much quieter, occasionally giving me a venomous look but rarely causing trouble. If I didn't know her true nature and the terrible things she did in my previous life, I might have thought she had changed. The quieter she was, the more uneasy I felt. Sure enough, my premonition soon came true.
I want some potato cakes from the shop nearby.
It's late, Emily. We can get them tomorrow.
I want them now.
Aunt scolded me, and with no choice, I headed to the shop. Outside the school, there was an alley with many street vendors, a place notorious for fights. After buying the potato cakes, I was unsurprisingly blocked at the alley entrance.
Someone saw you at the internet cafe the night our video was released.
I was just there to do some research.
But they didn't need my explanation or evidence. As long as they believed it was me, it was me. I was a punching bag, a target for their abuse. But I wasn't unprepared. I had hired a group of thugs, including Tessa's ex-boyfriend, Michael, and his gang. The release of such a scandalous video was devastating for girls like Tessa, who had to transfer to a new school to start over. For boys, it was a badge of honor. Michael became a hero among the boys for his conquests.
Well, waiting for Michael's favor, are we?
Michael, you're amazing taking down so many girls at once.
Tessa trembled with rage at the sight of Michael. She couldn't forget the humiliation he brought her, not only cheating on her but also sleeping with her friends, making her experience betrayal firsthand. Why did he remain unscathed while she faced judgment?
You're just in time. Help me catch this little witch, and you can make a video. I'll pay you well.
Michael looked me over, sending chills down my spine. I had paid him, but that meant he could be bought by others too. I discreetly activated the emergency button in my sleeve, my last resort, which would alert the nearest police station with my location.
Michael, I may be poor, but I have principles. I've already taken Sophia's money. How could I take yours too?
So, she hired you.
Why should you be allowed to hit me, but I can't fight back?
The boys restrained the girls, and I returned the harm they had inflicted on me, doubled. In Tess's disbelieving eyes, my hand rose high and came down hard.
Slap. 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 The sound was like bamboo sticks hitting each other. Each slap I delivered felt incredibly satisfying.
How dare you hit me, you wretched girl? Who do you think you are?
In response, I slapped her even harder, making her mouth bleed. The arrogance in her eyes finally turned to fear, but she still refused to back down.
I'll get someone to deal with you. I'll get someone to deal with you.
I took out a pack of cigarettes, lit one, and pressed it against her face.
You want to get someone to deal with me? I'm just collecting a little interest in advance.
The air was filled with the smell of smoke and burnt flesh. By the fifth cigarette, she finally screamed that she wouldn't bother me anymore. But how could I let her off so easily? In my previous life, she had tormented me to no end. I'm not someone who repays evil with kindness. After finishing the last cigarette, she was crying so hard she was almost fainting. The ground was littered with extinguished cigarette butts. I casually flicked my lighter, and she shrank back, trying to hide in the corner.
They say that dog trainers can make even the fiercest dogs obey with a whistle. She was worse than a dog. I wanted her to fear the sound of a lighter, to remember the scene of my dominance every time she heard it, so she'd never dare to bully me again. After cleaning up, I was about to leave with a few guys when we saw an unexpected person in the corner.
Hello, Jason.
The guys shouted in unison, startling me. He leaned against the wall, hands in his pockets, looking smug.
Did you help me?
Just a favor.
No wonder Michael was so righteous and didn't take Tess's money. Jason and his girlfriend can chat. We'll leave now, they said before leaving.
Why did you help me?
Jason gestured for me to follow him. We got into his car and drove to his villa in the suburbs. He opened the study, revealing the best computers on the market. He casually turned one on and typed a line of code.
Are you X?
That's right.
In my previous life, I knew X, but only as an online acquaintance. We never knew each other's real identities. Hackers are like wizards in games, powerful from a distance but weak up close. We ruled the internet but were ordinary in real life, so few dared to reveal their true identities.
Why are you telling me this?
Because I already know who you are. The Star Wars internet cafe you go to is mine.
I worked at the Star Wars Internet Cafe as a network administrator in my previous life for 4 years, never knowing who the boss was. I only knew he had a bit of a nerdy side. He gave me my first programming materials and told me to conquer the stars and the sea.
So you also know I was behind the school forum incident.
Yes, but I'm not here to blame you. I'm here to invite you to join the Red Hacker Alliance.
The Red Hacker Alliance? I thought they disbanded.
In my previous life, I had heard of the Red Hacker Alliance. They once took down the network of a major country for a week and planted their victory flag on the opponent's webpage. Later, their core members left, and they announced their disbandment.
Gathered, we are a blazing fire. Scattered, we are countless stars. The Red Hackers never truly left, they return when called.
In my previous life, I was a white hat hacker but never fought for my country. It sounded thrilling.
I'd like to join. Is there any ceremony?
What ceremony? Silly.
I returned to school, but this time with Jason by my side. Watching me greet him and head back to class left my classmates in shock.
You know Jason?
Yes.
Knowing the school bully meant I would be safer from now on. Emily had recovered, though her face still bore some scars. She insisted on being discharged, and aunt and uncle couldn't stop her. As soon as she walked in, she knelt before me, startling me.
I'm sorry, sister. I shouldn't have asked you to buy that hash brown, causing you to almost get hurt. But it's good you know the school bully, he can stand up for you. I'm glad you weren't hurt.
You know the bully from the neighboring school? How did you get involved with such a dubious person?
Get up. Do you really need to apologize to her? Hasn't she eaten and drunk enough of our stuff all these years?
I wanted to retort that I hadn't used their things, everything was from the inheritance my parents left me. But I was in a difficult position, so I forced a smile.
How could I blame you? We're good sisters.
Emily jumped up happily.
Really? Can I sleep in your room tonight?
My room was the smallest, with a narrow bed. Why would she want to sleep there? I was about to refuse when Aunt frowned.
What? Your sister isn't worthy of sleeping in your bed.
I had no choice but to agree reluctantly. Though I agreed, I felt uneasy. My premonition came true after the Monday assembly. The school's bulletin board was crowded with students excitedly discussing something. I wanted to pass quickly, but Emily dragged me over. The bulletin board displayed a love letter in my handwriting.
What's this? Do you like Ethan? But you already have Jason.
I pressed my lips together, unsure of what to say. The letter was indeed mine, written by the naive me in my previous life. I remembered tucking it into an old diary, and only Emily could have accessed it. She gave me a triumphant look, as if to say, "How foolish are you to trust me?" I wanted to tear the letter down, but a few girls blocked my way.
Already have Jason and still dreaming of Ethan? Shameless.
Greedy. Do you think you're a goddess?
Oh my, someone thinks they can handle two guys at once. Won't you end up splitting your legs?
I stood there, embarrassed and at a loss. If only a teacher would show up, even to scold me for early romance, it would be better than this public humiliation. Unexpectedly, Ethan came to my rescue.
Ethan and I are mutually in love. What's wrong with that?
He said, tearing down the letter.
Confession should be made by the guy. Would you be my girlfriend, Sophia?
His eyes were gentle and affectionate. Dressed in a white shirt and straight black pants, his hair glowed slightly in the light, resembling the male protagonists described in campus novels. If I didn't know what he was like in my previous life, I might have been moved. In my past life, he and Emily had conspired against me. I still couldn't forget Emily's malicious and excited words. "Do you think I got these things to harm you on my own? You should thank your white moonlight, Ethan. Without him, I couldn't have done it." Everyone around us watched, their gazes a mix of twisted, malicious, joyful, and envious emotions, creating a surreal atmosphere. I was momentarily stunned, unsure how to react. My expression played right into his hands as he savored my embarrassment. I pushed those thoughts aside and used a scanner to find vulnerabilities in the school's server. The scanner quickly identified a flaw. Instead of attacking the server, I established a new link, becoming an administrator. Seeing the familiar IDs posting, I hacked into their phones. It seems my acting was too good, letting them enjoy themselves for so long. Now it's time for my counterattack.
Do you want to see the signature on the back of the letter?
Ethan reflexively turned the letter over, revealing the name Emily written in large letters on the back. Lemon juice becomes visible when heated, and I knew Emily would choose lunchtime, when the most people were around. The midday sun was hot, and the glass in front of the bulletin board had a heating function.
How dare you set me up?
You were the one who posted the letter here. If you like Ethan so much, why not confess directly? Be bold.
Ethan cleared his throat. I was surprised that he could still try to salvage the situation, a true son of privilege.
I'm hosting a birthday party this weekend. Can you come?
He handed me an invitation. I didn't take it, and his hand hung in the air. Carrying invitations around, how fascinating, I thought.
Sorry, not interested.
Jason grabbed the invitation from Ethan's hand and tore it into pieces. Ethan's perfect facade cracked slightly. Indeed, dealing with hypocrites requires a straightforward approach.
I don't have money for a gift nor the time.
Just your presence is enough. My mother really wants to meet you.
In the classroom, Emily started taunting me.
You have such good luck. Even after rejecting him, he still wants you to attend his birthday party.
This kind of fortune, you want it?
If you don't go, I can't go either.
I pulled out a test paper to work on, ignoring her.
If you don't go, I'll throw away all your mother's belongings.
You touch my box.
She waved a broken lock in front of me.
It was quite hard to break.
That box was my only memory of my mother, containing birthday gifts, Children's Day presents, and doll books. It held 10 years of memories with my mother. I couldn't lose it. But she didn't know that I had already placed the real box with Jason. What she held was just a replica, something to make her think she had leverage over me. Otherwise, why would I reluctantly go to Ethan's house? Ethan's family was wealthy, with a villa by the lake, a golf course, a swimming pool, and a horse stable, everything one could imagine. The guests were all privileged children like him, making me feel out of place. His mother glanced at me a few times and called me over for a private conversation. Once in the room, she threw a diary in front of me.
What do you think you are? How dare you date my son?
Sorry, I'm not interested in Ethan.
Don't lie.
She threw out a stack of photos, some of me and Ethan doing chores, others from the confession at the bulletin board. My diary, which should have been at home, was obviously taken by Emily. With these pieces of evidence, I couldn't argue my innocence. But I didn't plan to clear my name, I only intended to provoke her.
Your son is only precious to you. He's rotten inside, just like you know he is.
Having been in a high position for so long, no one had ever dared to speak to her like this. Her expression went blank for a moment. When she recovered, her chest heaved, and she let out an angry scream.
Can't handle it? And you call yourself a seasoned politician's wife. Your son is a hypocrite, a scoundrel.
Shut up. Shut up.
She grabbed things from the table and threw them at me, looking like a madwoman. While she resorted to physical attacks, my psychological assault continued relentlessly.
He enjoys resources far superior to mine, yet he remains a perpetual second place. It just shows how inferior your genes are. It must be painful to be trampled by someone not as good as you. As long as I'm here, I'll always be number one.
2 bodyguards immediately dragged me out of the room. Ethan watched me pass by, his face dark as if he had lost someone dear. I didn't forget to flip him off as I walked away. Ethan's mother locked me in the basement, still unsure how to deal with me. Even they wouldn't dare make a person disappear without a trace. I found a dusty computer, removed its disguise, and saw it still had a full battery. Ethan's father had many political enemies and was always cautious. The home network was an intranet, disconnected from the internet. even the most critical computer had never been online. But no matter, hacking these internet computers would be enough to cause them trouble. At the agreed time, Jason arrived to pick me up. Ethan clearly didn't want to let me go easily. As we passed the swimming pool, someone suddenly lunged at me, and in my panic, I pushed Ethan into the water. In my previous life, Ethan had used such tactics against me. He would stand on the shore, looking down at me as I struggled like a drowning dog. This time, I stood on the shore, grinning at him.
Sorry, Ethan. I was scared too. You won't blame me, right?
Soon, it was the first mock exam of the second semester of senior year. As I finished my English answer sheet and was about to leave the classroom, Ethan turned around and smiled at me, then told the teacher.
Teacher, she's cheating.
The proctor came over and found a pile of photos under my desk. The teacher looked at the photos, his face changing, and finally said,
Although you didn't cheat, bringing photos to the exam room is still wrong. I'll keep these photos.
I held the teacher's hand and said playfully, Don't, teacher. If I didn't cheat, I didn't cheat. Your actions make it seem like I did.
With that, I scattered the photos around the classroom like confetti. Curious classmates picked up the nearest photos. After looking at them, they all turned to Ethan with meaningful smiles. Ethan, feeling uneasy, picked up a photo. After seeing it, his face twisted in rage, and he flipped my desk.
Where did you get these photos?
Maintain exam discipline.
Someone delivered them to me, of course.
Of course not. I had found these photos on his family's computer. There were many intimate photos of his father with other women. Who would have thought? His father, at his age, still playing around. In the end, Ethan was taken away by the proctor, while I continued to answer my exam questions. In my previous life, he had used such despicable methods against me. I couldn't imagine such a thing happening. I requested an investigation of the school's surveillance or to retake the exam alone. But no one listened, and the school insisted on giving me a major demerit, marking my record with cheating and leaving me with this shame forever. I confronted him, and he laughed, patting a classmate's shoulder as he led me to the rooftop.
Why are you doing this to me? I've never wronged you.
Do you think I care about you? It's just because you're the top student in the school. You are just mud, yet you dream of reaching the sky. I just want to see you fall hard. Why do you keep getting back up? Your struggling is so pathetic.
The person I once saw as my salvation turned out to be such a monster.
The overwhelming malice almost drowned me. My stomach churned, and I leaned against the wall, retching. The victor returns triumphant, leaving the defeated in despair. That day, I wished I could disappear.
2 rows of camphor trees lined the basketball court, with sunlight filtering through the leaves, creating beautiful spots of light. Girls cheered with sodas in hand, while boys sweated on the basketball court. The most dazzling forward was Ethan. He seemed to notice me and waved from afar. My world was stormy, while his was sunny. I recalled the suffering from my previous life. It wasn't enough. Ethan, you think you're untouchable because of your father? Let's see what happens when he's brought down. Ethan was irritable, getting into several fights recently, and was mocked daily. People didn't dare mock him to his face, but whispered behind his back. In my previous life, they mocked me openly.
Hey, isn't this our top student?
Top student? More like a cheater.
I say, she should be expelled. She got in on her grades, and now they're fake. What right does she have to stay here?
Is this all it takes for you to break, Ethan? It's just the beginning. His father was cunning, never connecting the computer holding their core secrets to the internet. His phone was even more extreme, an old Nokia with only call and text functions, no apps, and no internet access, making it unhackable. He often met with wealthy businessmen in high-end venues with excellent privacy. Apart from a camera at the entrance, the rooms were spotless, making it impossible to catch him accepting bribes. I was stuck, feeling down every day. Would I live under Ethan's shadow forever?
This private school admitted students from wealthy families but reserved a few spots each year for academically outstanding but financially disadvantaged students to boost their graduation rates. In my past life, I was grateful to my uncle's family for sending me here, even though my tuition came from scholarships. Later, I realized they just wanted to replace my academic record. Who knows if the Ethan family had a hand in it, given that Ethan's mother was a board member.
Ethan stopped bothering me recently, probably thinking I was down for good. I pretended to give up, skipping classes and not doing homework, while secretly plotting to bring down his father. Where was the cunning old fox's weak spot? At home, I reviewed my plan. To catch him, I even hacked the system to record his daily commute. After some observation, I found a clue. Ethan's father commuted in a government car daily but drove a regular Chang'an car to the suburbs on the third night of every month. The timing was odd, around 9 p.m., when the square dancers had gone home and the night market was just getting lively. The traffic was moderate, not drawing attention. I followed his route but found nothing unusual. Unconvinced, I checked previous months. Yes, it was the same route. My eyes were burning from staring at the screen when Jason helped analyze it.
Look at this alley. Don't you see he spends a bit too long here?
With his reminder, I noticed it too. Based on the car's speed, he slowed down by at least 3 minutes here. I put on a mask and casually walked through the alley. There, I found a bank branch with 3 ATMs beside it. Perfect, I finally found his weak spot. Cautious as Ethan's father was, he never trusted anyone else to handle the illicit money, he always did it himself. Since he didn't want anyone to know, I decided to make a big move. It was an ordinary Wednesday, and the senior students were still in their evening self-study session. The math teacher had put a challenging problem on the board and called Ethan to solve it. Despite his father's questionable conduct, Ethan was still in good standing, so the teachers were happy to give him the spotlight.
Ethan, please come up and solve this problem for us.
Ethan walked to the podium under the admiring gazes of his classmates. At that moment, he shone brightly, making me feel insignificant. I could see his genuine happiness. No matter, this would be the last time he felt superior to me. On the other side of the city, an ATM was spewing out cash uncontrollably. Ethan's father was frantically hitting the machine, but it was no use. Passers-by found it curious and stopped to watch. The crowd grew, and someone recorded the scene and uploaded it online, causing a sensation.
What's happening here? Is the ATM broken?
Initially, people found it strange. How could an ATM malfunction like that? Evidence of Ethan's father's corruption was also sent to the authorities. Although it was only partial evidence, it was enough to start an investigation. Finding the businessman who bribed him wasn't difficult, especially a small accountant who had detailed the transactions in the records. The Ethan family was finished. The evidence was irrefutable, and the authorities conducted a thorough investigation. Ethan's father was quickly arrested and imprisoned. Ethan's downfall was swift. The once proud student fell into disgrace. His mother, worried about his mental state, arranged for him to study at home.
Ethan, maybe it's best if you study at home for a while.
They couldn't understand why the ATM malfunctioned and blamed it on bad luck, even hiring a feng shui master to relocate their ancestral tombs. They never suspected it was my doing. I had never shown my computer skills to anyone. The college entrance exams came quickly. I answered the questions diligently, just like in my previous life. Unsurprisingly, Emily got into Tsinghua University, while I didn't get into any school. At home, a lavish graduation party was held. Everyone was in high spirits, and Emily gave a speech that was met with thunderous applause. She deliberately approached me and asked,
"Sister, what did you get?"
Are you sure you want to ask?
In my previous life, she had asked the same question, knowing she had stolen my school spot and I couldn't even retake the exams, rubbing salt into my wounds.
Joy should be shared with everyone.
Yes, Sophia did well too. She should have done great.
Not just great, she was the top of the school.
I pulled out an acceptance letter from my canvas bag.
I wanted to wait until after your party to tell everyone since we're good sisters, and I didn't want to steal your thunder. But since you're so insistent, I'll show everyone now.
I placed the Harvard University acceptance letter on the table. Unfortunately, it was in English, so the impact wasn't immediate.
What is this? It's from a foreign university, but which one?
A younger family member who attended an international school screamed.
It's Harvard University. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing a real Harvard acceptance letter.
Harvard University? Our family has someone going to Harvard? Oh my, this is incredible.
Even those unfamiliar with foreign universities knew Harvard's name. No one hadn't heard of it. Emily's face turned pale. She stared wide-eyed, muttering,
"Impossible, impossible."
What's impossible? Emily, do you dare show everyone the name on your acceptance letter? You didn't think stealing it would make it yours, did you?
She grabbed the Harvard acceptance letter and tore it to pieces.
"You'll always be beneath me."
I looked at her calmly. The admission letter she tore up was just a copy. I wouldn't bring the real one to such an occasion. Besides, even if the letter was destroyed, informing the school would resolve everything. Suddenly, several officials burst into the graduation party.
Who is Emily?
"What do you want?"
We suspect you of academic fraud and forging identification documents. Please come with us.
My daughter knows nothing about this. Take me instead.
Aunt tried to intervene but was taken away as well. The remaining relatives were left in shock, losing their appetite and leaving the party. Years later, I participated in the PWN2 hacking competition, which gathered the world's top hacker teams. Before the competition, I warmed up by demonstrating how to make an ATM dispense cash. Although White Hat hacker Barnaby Jack had showcased this in 2010, it wasn't particularly groundbreaking. However, Ethan was visibly excited. He wasn't eligible to compete and could only watch from the audience. After I smoothly demonstrated the technique, he went berserk, trying to rush the stage to attack me. The security personnel quickly restrained him.
It's you! It's you!
Ethan didn't choose to study philosophy as he had no one to pave the way for him. Instead, he studied computer science, hoping to uncover the truth from years ago. Little did he know, I would reveal the truth so blatantly.
Miss, are you all right?
I'm fine. Can I say something to him? The officer nodded. I squatted in front of Ethan, who was glaring at me with rage, and smiled with satisfaction.
Why are you so angry, Ethan? You should have known I wouldn't easily forgive those who hurt me.
You wretched woman, wretched woman.
He then teamed up with Emily to lure me out. Emily, with a criminal record, couldn't attend college and ended up worse than I did in my previous life. She could only do odd jobs.
We were wrong. We shouldn't have treated you like that in school.
Yes, we were young and foolish. Please forgive us.
They handed me a drink laced with something. I held the drink but didn't take a sip. Ethan watched me, eager to force it down my throat. I excused myself to the restroom. As I turned, several plainclothes officers appeared and arrested them. They hadn't expected me to call the police and started shouting, but no one paid them any attention. This time, they would be detained for a long while. I stretched contentedly and shut down my laptop. Jason was even more intense than I was, having gone 2 days without sleep.
Will we get scolded by the director when we get back?
Probably not. I think they would approve.
We exchanged smiles, feeling like true heroes. We had completed our mission and could now retreat, leaving our achievements behind.
This was my life, not one entangled with those who sought to drag me down.